Hello, welcome to Let's Talk NBA Basketball with Rick and Jack. Hello, Jack. How are you, man?
I am wonderful.
It's always wonderful. It's good to see you. NBA, what's happening?
Some trades happen.
You getting any time to watch NBA after all that NCAA and all that good predictions we had and bets we gave out and on our other show, on our NCAA basketball show?
In my loft, I literally have 3 TVs going, plus the projector, so that I can watch as much.
My God, you're a basketball scout too. Who are you working for? 3 TVs and a
for
projector.
for our show. I need to make sure that I know what I'm talking about.
Is it all basketball you're putting up there?
Not always.
3 TVs and basketball. You got baseball up there, golf, what?
Well, no baseball yet.
By the way, not to go off the subject, did the Golden Knights win last night? They were down 1-0. Did they win?
They came back and won.
When was the last time they lost?
They lost.
Not to get away from NBA, but this guy's a big hockey fan.
They lost the game prior to this. They end up it was like 5-1. So.
Last night, the Kings were up 1-0, right?
No, they came back and won. I believe it was 3-1.
Okay. Kings never scored. Kings scored right away, right?
Yes, within the first minute.
Yeah, anyways, we'll talk about hockey another time. We'll do some hockey shows. I know there's a lot of hockey interest in our viewers. And again, thank you guys for watching and liking us. This show's about the NBA, though, and there's plenty to talk about involving NBA and trades. And what was the most prolific trade at the trade deadline, or the most prolific buyout and movement and signing with other teams? Which team had the biggest advantage here, and who has the biggest advantage, and who made the best deal?
Well, I have to separate it between the East and the West. On the East, they basically the Brooklyn Nets basically made sure they secured themselves on the East with the addition of Aldridge, but sometimes.
How about Blake Griffin?
But he was already there before the trade deadline.
It's just been a couple of days, though.
But because you have all that talent does not necessarily mean that you'll win. You know, I'll remember when Miami, the big 3 first came together, and you had a team that was hot and was playing together in a Dallas Mavericks with back then it was Jason Kidd and what's our other the center?
The German.
Well, anyways, they dominated. They dominated a star-driven team with the big 3. Same thing back in the day when you had Gary Payton, you had Karl Malone.
Yeah, they came into the Lakers.
On the Lakers, but it all depends on what side
they guaranteed the title.
What side of the ball, and it got knocked out, right?
First round.
Yeah. So with this, that doesn't mean it's one ball. Just so you know, it's one ball and all those stars. So and it takes time to gel. We have a guy that hasn't been playing since what? I want to say Valentine's Day.
Is Kevin Durant ever going to play?
So
this year, I mean, is he ever going to play?
He will.
When? He's been out for 2 months.
So his hamstring injury, I looked into it and it's like, oh, they say you can be back on the court within a week. But it depends on the severity of it. So if he tore a muscle, it's not. If he tore the muscle, like ripped it, he can be out for months. He's already been out for months.
Yeah.
So I don't think they're being honest with us as far as how severe his injury is. They said, I think he actually had surgery and didn't tell anybody. Because it was that bad. Otherwise,
I think that would be hard to get away with. But I mean, how are you going to do that? People watch these guys around the clock.
Secret, man.
Well, I'll tell you this. I think that there's a couple problems in Brooklyn. They've loaded up, and it's funny when Jeannie Buss, the Lakers owner, saw what happened. She said, "It's fine. Bring them on. Bring it on. Bring it on. The Lakers will be there." I think of the best teams right now. If you look at the players, yeah, Brooklyn looks pretty good. I think Blake Griffin is getting healthy and getting in shape. He looks good. I don't know what Aldridge is going to do. I don't know if he'll do anything. The Lakers made a really big acquisition with Drummond. He's the real deal. He's run over a lot of centers in his day, and I'll tell you what the thing about it is that he's going to start. They're already saying that Gasol is going to the bench, which I'm surprised they're even keeping the guy, to be honest with you. Marc Gasol he's a shell of what he used to be. He does not belong on the Lakers, and that's my opinion. I'm glad he's making that kind of money, but Drummond's going to start, and when that team is whole, you're going to have LeBron, Anthony Davis, and Drummond in there. I don't think you can beat that team with their role players. And Kuzma's stepping up.
What I really like about Drummond is he's a rebounding machine, and you're looking at
and a shot blocker.
And he's more athletic, and hopefully he's not a shell of himself, and he's
Drummond?
Yeah, but
Drummond
he haven't played in a long time.
Give him 2 weeks. In 2 weeks he'll be playing. Do you realize that when you talk about that team, the Lakers, you have him starting in the middle, and you bring in Montrezl Harrell, who is a beast himself, who is the Energizer Bunny that never stops moving. I don't want to face those two centers in a game. I don't want to face either one of them. If I'm any team, I don't want to face Drummond and Harrell. And then you got LeBron, who's facilitating and moving the ball and driving to the hoop and shooting the three, and Anthony Davis, who can shoot anywhere on the floor.
When they're healthy, but because both guys
are about health.
But
we can say the what ifs, but
those guys have been
will
out.
Get healthy.
We hope so.
I don't know that Brooklyn will get healthy, and what I mean by that is, I'm not sure they're mentally healthy. Kyrie Irving is out every other week with personal problems. He just came off a personal problem relief. I don't know what's going to happen in the playoffs with that guy. He got mental problems. They got physical problems with Durant. He's been out too long. The one consistent there is the big guys is James Harden. He's been very impressive. He shows up, he plays every night. He doesn't want to sit on the bench. He gives a great effort. He facilitates, he makes shots, he drives to the basket. He's been great. Give him his props. He's in the MVP race.
He shouldn't be.
But he's a good.
What he did in Houston, nope.
I don't look at it as that. That's their business. I look at it as what do you do on the court. I don't. That's the rest of it.
But if you're not on the court, if you're not with your team, how are you? He didn't perform while he was in Houston. He basically quit on the team.
Past years.
He was here in Vegas performing, enjoying a good
Okay, let me ask you a question. When you talk about that, when you throw that out there, okay, so that means we hate Jimmy Butler for life. Jimmy Butler quit in Minnesota and Chicago. He quit. He quit playing. He didn't give them effort. He criticized players. Jimmy Butler did nothing, but he went to Miami and was a superstar because they put him in a position that he could be himself.
And he
so
could win.
I have nothing up against Jimmy Butler because maybe the management was bad. In Houston, it's not all the players' fault. That management there sucks. They've unloaded the team. Now they got rid of P.J. Tucker, their biggest hustler. Don't blame it on James Harden. Blame it on the culture. With Jimmy Butler, I blame it on the culture. I mean, don't you believe also in the culture that every culture is not for every player?
I do agree with that. And
I'm
big on
Jimmy
culture.
Butler is a perfect case. Hey, Rondo, think about Rondo. He was in Dallas, and Mark Cuban fired him. They released him because he refused to play hard. He didn't want to be in Dallas.
So
they released him. Does that mean he was no good in Boston, where it was a good culture?
Yeah.
That he was no good in L.A.? No. You got to sometimes think about these guys. They have to look out for themselves, and they're not always right. But a lot of times, I will err in the defense of the player because.
But the difference.
Houston is a bad culture, man. A terrible culture.
So despite the culture, you as a person, you play well. You go up, you show up. But he wasn't even showing up. It's not like, oh, every night he shows up and he's playing his heart out and the team is still losing and and everything else. No, he wasn't even showing up. So that's why I don't think he didn't show up for the first part of the season with his team, for his former team. So he doesn't get MVP for the rest of the season.
I don't agree with that, but again, I gave you reasons why, and they're pretty logical. But that's a long discussion for another show. We are most interested in who really can contend for the title in the NBA.
So
I mean, really, there's some good teams. Tell me some of the teams that you think are out there that, if there are a couple of injuries with the Lakers or Brooklyn, who could slip in there and win it this year?
The Clippers. One of the things that I thought they were lacking was leadership, and you brought up Rondo earlier. Them acquiring Rondo. Not only are they going to get the leadership with him as far as somebody that's won multiple championship with multiple teams, but he also has basketball IQ.
He's a teacher.
And he's a teacher. Whereas I don't feel like a George or a Kawhi breaks. If a play is broken down, he can go back and basically he correct on the spot. Like just, hey, watch out for that, so then we don't get burned twice on this. But you have Rondo that's going to be in the ears of his teammates to get them and make them better. That was a good pickup for them. Despite me not being a fan of the Clippers.
Well, no, you don't like the Clippers. You don't like their style of ball or their leadership or anything. But
no,
I got some thoughts on that when you're ready to hear
them. Go ahead.
The Clippers are the best team in the NBA right now, today. It changes weekly because of injuries and guys sitting out. If you watch the Clippers, what are they, 8-2? There's a couple other teams that are 8-2.
In the last 10 games, they're one of the teams with a Philly, a Brooklyn, Utah.
Yeah, they're all good. Denver.
They're 8-2 in the last 10 games. But you have like a Milwaukee and a Philly that's 7-3 right behind them. At the end of the day, your team, how long is it gonna last where every other night one of your star players are out?
Well, that makes it tough. But let me say this.
Doesn't that mess up the culture of the team?
Terribly, but if you're hurt, you're hurt. What are you going to do? I don't see. You know what's interesting? I don't like to talk about the Lakers too much, but they are the best team at full strength. But their culture isn't ruined because LeBron and Anthony Davis is out.
Because they're actually injured. But when you're telling me you're sitting players because you're man.
I mean, when you in Cleveland you sit Drummond, that hurts your culture. Come on, in Detroit where you sit Blake Griffin, that hurts your culture. So in San Antonio where you sit Aldridge, that hurts your culture. Of course, I don't like that. When you sit a player in that you don't want him to get injured because you want to get rid of him. But I want to get back to the Clippers.
No, but it's the same thing where they're doing they're doing load management where those guys there. So now his I think his right toe or something.
Who are you talking about? Paul George.
Paul George. He's out right now.
He's got a bad foot. What do you want
and
him to play?
And then 2 days ago it was your favorite person.
Well,
Leonard.
Leonard is not my favorite person, but I will tell you why the Clippers are my favorite people as an NBA team. And look at it this way. Milwaukee's winning, but nothing's really changing, improving there. They had a good team. Philadelphia's winning, but nothing's really changing there. That's their players. A lot of these teams, they're good, but nothing's really changing. Utah, nothing's really changing. Denver picked up Aaron Gordon. We'll see what that's going to happen. I think he's a head case. But my point about the Clippers is this: they are maturing, and this is what I want to talk about: maturity. The Clippers are becoming a mature team, and what I mean by that is, hey, Leonard and George are who they are, but their cast around them has improved amazingly. Reggie Jackson is playing great basketball.
Yes, he is.
You got Luke Kennard. Zubats in the middle grows every single game. I love that kid. He's the hardest worker. And then you got Terrence Mann. These guys are scoring in double figures every night. Every night now. They beat up Milwaukee. A Milwaukee team that was at full strength last night. They beat them by 22. Why? Because of role players. Not because George was out. Not because you have Leonard, who you say is not a leader. Because the supporting cast is great, and that's why I like the Clippers more than any team right now. No supporting cast is as strong as the Lakers. I'm telling you, watch that kid Terrence Mann, second-year man. He's a different player because they're training him and they're teaching him, and he's getting better. Watch that kid Kennard. He's a great shooter. Had a little confidence problem earlier in the year. He's playing unbelievable right now.
Yeah, 5
Reggie
of 6
Jackson
from the
was a
three
good
last
player
night.
in Detroit, right? Fine player, one of the best. He's come to life. Watch out for the Clippers. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Watch out for the Clippers. You tell me what happens in 10 games. The Clippers are the best team in the NBA right now.
We'll see.
Right now it changes. But right now the Clippers are the best team as much as you dislike them.
We'll see.
Who do you think's the best team in the NBA? Right now. Discount all the injury stuff and all that. Right now. Today. On March 30th. Who is the best who's the best team in the
It's
NBA?
still Utah.
Utah.
Yeah, they're consistent. They're consistent.
What do they do to improve that team?
don't mess with what's working. They have the highest scoring offense in one of the highest scoring offense in the league. Not to mention their defense is not too shabby too. They're in the top 5. So why would you mess with that? The very second that you put who are you going to trade, you mess up the psyche and the culture of that team. And they didn't need to make any improvements. One team that did make an improvement that I really like was Miami when they picked up Oladipo. Hopefully he's a shell of himself.
Still not healthy.
When he was in Indiana.
Indiana, quad injury, very bad quad injury. When he was in Indiana, he's come back, and he came back for Indiana and played okay. We'll see what he does in Miami. I don't really see how he's going to help him. My whole thing is that teams like Utah, if you shut down Donovan Mitchell, which there are guards out there that can take him on and shut him down, what is Utah?
Which the West is guard heavy.
What is Utah going to do? If you shut down Booker, I mean, all these teams with great records. If you shut down Booker, what is Phoenix going to do?
You have a great basketball IQ and facilitator in
Chris
Paul.
Old legs, and we'll see how he does.
Okay, but you realize where Phoenix was and where they're at right now. Those old legs made that team a winning culture.
He's helped. He's getting a little more credit than he deserves, in my opinion.
Oh, come on.
Hey, in the middle, Ayton has improved. The team has improved. Booker has improved.
So how do you give him more credit than he deserves?
No. I just think Chris Paul is a fine player, but they're making him like he's the second coming of God in Phoenix. I don't believe that's true. I believe he's a good player.
But maybe
I
Moses.
believe he's a good player, but you watch Phoenix in the playoffs. They're gonna lose, right? And they won't make it past the second round.
Okay, you heard it here first.
That's what I believe. Again, there's a lot of teams that they're one guys. You look at a guy like Atlanta. You shut down Young, they're in trouble. Memphis, you shut down John Moran, they're in trouble. You see what happens in Golden State when Curry doesn't play. They lose every time. You watch when Giannis doesn't play. They lose every time. But I have to give Philadelphia credit. What are they, 9-2 without Embiid?
Yeah.
7-2, something like that.
Now
there's a team, but again, go back and look at the level of competition. The NBA is a crazy place. Injuries are playing a big role right now.
Well, and I think right now where anything that's lingering with your star players, what teams are doing is they're taking this moment right now. If you don't need to make a run, then they're actually nursing those injuries so that when it comes playoff time, those injuries are not there anymore. They're not still lingering because you want your players to be playing. And I think that's what Brooklyn is doing. But what surprised me with Brooklyn is you have Embiid out, and they didn't, in the last 10 games, they didn't try to.
With Philly?
Yeah. They didn't try to take over the number 1 spot. Like, what's going on in Brooklyn?
Brooklyn's a funny team, man. I got to tell you, you got Steve Nash as coach. That's a bad start to begin with. He's a man in charge, and I know he's got some great coaches around him, and a lot of time it's not just the head coach, but.
So this Brooklyn team, it reminds me of when Golden State, when Mark Jackson was a coach there, they had all that talent, but they couldn't go over the cusp.
Yeah.
And I think.
And Steve Kerr inherited it.
And I think.
And won right away.
But I think he was right there.
He knew how to treat players.
Well, he was right there on. That team was. They would have won it the following year, even with Jackson. The team was maturing and getting where they're supposed to be.
That's true.
It's what we never count the other teams around. Like there were other teams that were better or more, or in a sense, the talent was better. And it's like now everybody's shooting threes, because of what that team ended up.
At full strength, who's going to win it all? I mean, we've got a couple of months. It's fun to say what ifs. The what ifs, at full strength, who's going to win it all?
Lakers.
Everybody healthy. Lakers
are good with
tough to beat.
With their depth.
It's going to be tough to beat. We want Brooklyn and the Lakers, right?
We do.
We don't we? We really do. I mean, to see Irving and Durant and Harden against the big three with the Lakers now, and the guys you bring in like Trez Harrell and Kuzma and Caruso, the Lakers are pretty tough. Harden made a comment that is interesting. They asked him, "Do you think you can win it all?" He says, "Of course we're going to win it all." Because it full strength, and again, it comes to full strength. The what ifs. Nobody can beat us. Nobody can beat us 4 games. And I said to myself, "Wow, he's pretty right. Brooklyn will be pretty tough to beat 4 games in a 7-game series." But I'll tell you this: the Lakers are going to be pretty tough. But we don't know what Drummond's going to do. We know what we got in Brooklyn. When KD's healthy, it'll be fine. We know what we got there. But they got to mesh together. It's the same thing with the Lakers. There's somebody out there that may slip in there that's been playing great continuity, like the Clippers, like Milwaukee.
Utah.
You talk about teams and you just can't buy in on Clippers. I can't buy in on Utah. I think they're a one-player team. I really do. And you get these guys like Ingle that shoots pretty good, and you got Rudy Gobert in the middle, and you got a couple of other good kids. Mike Conley, he's good. He on a given night he can be good. But there's something I just don't like about Utah. And the same thing with Denver. There's something about Denver that I just don't like.
Do you think because it's obviously it's a star-driven league, and usually you have a big 2 or 3, and they just don't have those 2 superstar players. And it's not saying that even like Mitchell, he's a star, but I don't think he's a superstar yet. And that's
he's pretty damn good.
He is, but I don't think he's on that superstar level.
But do you realize at the end of the day, with all these guys playing their best, Denver's better than Utah. Denver's got one of the best players in the league. A guy who'll probably win MVP, Jokic. They got Murray when he's on his game is unbelievable. They got Porter Jr. If he's shooting the ball well, he is unbelievable. I mean, now they bring in Aaron Gordon, who is a shot blocker, jumps out of the building, can shoot mid-range shots. Denver's pretty tough. I'm telling you, Denver.
And you didn't even
Denver is tougher than Utah.
And you didn't even bring up JaVale.
Oh yeah, JaVale McGee. I'm sorry, JaVale.
He's gonna make.
I'm not a fan, bro. I know you're a music producer and you do all that too, but I'm not a fan. I wasn't a fan in Golden State. I wasn't a fan at the Lakers, and I'm surely not a fan now that you've been traded to Denver as a backup center.
But
God bless.
But he brings that.
God bless. You make more money than I do.
He brings that rim protection, and he brings that little spark.
He brings a lot of mistakes. Anyways, we could talk NBA all day. It's a fun league. It's a fun time. It's great that we have different opinions. I love it because it's all going to work itself out down the road in the next several weeks with health issues and coaching issues, good coaches and bad coaches. It'll be fun, but let's keep enjoying it. Let's keep having our opinions. Don't be so hard on the Clippers, and I promise not to be so hard on Utah. Who do you all like? NBA is fun. It's a game that we know very, very well. I'm telling you, we know the game very well. I'd love to talk with you about it and follow our show. Make some comments. NBA, we love it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for liking. Thanks for watching us on YouTube and Roku, and it's a lot of fun. The what ifs in NBA because it's such a long season and so many injuries happen. But get back to us. Let us know what you like about our show, what you'd like us to improve, and we thank you. Our numbers are growing all the time, and we're getting good audiences. And thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in today. Don't say anything about the Clippers on the way out.
No, I won't. I was just gonna say.
Just waiting for you to say
something.
No.
We will be here all day
Leonard.
long. Just
George.
Don't forget that we
Clippers
also have
over.
other shows on our channel. We have wonderful content creators and our producer extraordinaire, Mr. John Stiles.
The best in the business, John Stiles.
He makes sure that we have content. Whatever you like. And so, it just so happened that, we're here enjoying our sports, but there's plenty of content for everyone.
Yeah, it's whatever you want. Watch us, enjoy us, watch our shows. We got a lot of them. Thank you for tuning in. As Jack said, watch our other shows, and we are blessed to have a great audience. Have a great week. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you for watching.